Now, after you roll your mat, always make sure that you're holding the mat and it's, still tightly rolled. I just hold it in between my legs. So I have one end of the mat, and what I do is I just take a bit of string and I tie the end. Okay? Very simple, no tricks about it. Just make sure that it's pretty, it doesn't have to be a uh, super tight knot or anything. Just make sure that the string is pretty tight, okay? So it doesn't have to be, it doesn't have to be super tight, but make sure it's on there, okay? And then what you do is you get the other end and you tie this end as well. You always tie from the ends first, so that way you make sure that the mat stays tight and it doesn't get loose or it doesn't unroll. Okay? So once you have both ends tied down, it's up to you how many ties you put in the middle. I generally like to put 4 ties, so it'll be like 1, 2, 3, 4. You can do more ties, but less than 4 ties generally is not a good idea because as you're cutting, then there's less chances that you can reuse the cut pieces that you've cut. So technically, the more ties you have, the easier it is for you to use the already cut pieces. All right. But one thing I want to point out is your first tie should be at least a couple inches away from the end of the mat, and this is for a good reason. Because when you spike the mat onto the peg of your cutting stand, if the first tie is too close to the end, then that means the end is really tight and it'll be really hard to spike the mat onto the peg. So if you leave a bit of room, that means that the end is a little bit looser, the very end is a little bit looser, so it's easier for you to spike the mat onto the peg. But with this tie up here, it'll still hold onto the peg pretty tightly, so it won't, really move around.